Damn people.
A lot of damn people.
A lot of damn people. We're ready.
Your time begins right now.
Wonderful. Well, everyone, we're excited for you to join us on this journey today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, through our web browser, log in as Jerry the photographer. And ahead of the project, knowing that he was going to have to load assets in, we had a folder created where he's going to go ahead and upload files from his local machine. While these are loading, I want to show the fact that we also were able to set the folder to have a follower Elaine, so that way when assets are completed in the upload, she's going to go ahead and get a notification or email down here in the bottom, and we'll watch for that. Go ahead and refresh the view. We start seeing that we've got placeholders plus the thumbnails are generated, successful. Assets are all in here, ready to go. And we see down here in the bottom that Elaine received her email about new assets and come into the system. So we're going to go ahead and log out of the web as Jerry. Now, we do actually have a desktop application, and one of the reasons for that is because it supports drag and drop. And it drags and drops into any application that you have on your system. But for today's purpose, we want to be able to see these assets in action in Photoshop. I'm using my keyboard to select multiple assets. I'm going to come down into the folder to make sure I'm selecting the right assets. And we're going to go ahead and select a few. We're going to drag and drop down here into Photoshop. They're opening here. We've got the plugin that's automatically locked the assets, assuming that because you've opened them in Photoshop, they're going to be edited. So we go ahead and close out. Now, I could come in here and do all sorts of edits or adjustments how I want to. I'm not a Photoshop person, so I'm going to bypass the actual color correction itself. But I'm just going to go ahead and close out. And now it's asking me, saying, hey, you've got these checked out. You want to check them in again? Yes, I want to check these back in. That way it releases the lock on the assets that way. Now Elaine also needs to go through, and she's got 14 assets that are in here, but she doesn't want all 14. So we're going to go ahead and just select them all. We're going to come back and we're going to deselect a couple of assets that she is a little less fond of, and we're going to go ahead and throw them into a collections. She's going to name the collections the Human Fund Selects for George, and in order to make sure George is involved, we're going to add him as a participant to this collection, so that way he also is notified. So we've now added George to the collection. We're going to go ahead and create an open. We see the collection here that has 11 images, but we also need to go back real quickly, and we want to make sure George uses one of the videos that we had produced. So go ahead and click and drag, wait for this to populate, and in comes now the video. So we've got 12 objects in here. Lastly, we need to make sure that when George logs in, he can actually work with these assets. So I'm going to select bulk edit. And one of the things I'm going to bulk edit is the status to approved. Go ahead and hit save. And all the green stoplights indicate that these are approved. If I come back to the main gallery view, scroll through, you'll see some assets have a little red dot, a little stoplight, meaning that those are not ready for George to see or work with. Elaine has done her part. We're going to go ahead and come back to the web browser because George doesn't need drag and drop. So we're going to go ahead and log in as George. George logs in. He's seen all the assets that are available to him, but you'll also notice that we've got an invitation to collection email letting him know that there's one for him. So he's going to come over here to the collection. Double click in, and now he sees the different assets that are ready for him to use. So one of the first things he's going to do is he's going to select them all, and actually what we're going to do instead of all, we're going to look at some of these individually. And first off is we see AI generated keywords. So young boy standing next to a man, I'm not quite sure if that's accurate. Tagged as a player, possibly. We'll leave that one out. Same thing with writing. And we're going to go ahead and adjust that AI suggested keywords. One other thing I also want to do, because this is a fundraiser and we've produced product that we want to sell for the fundraiser, we have a tie-in to our pin. And I'm going to go ahead and just quickly pull up into my products category. I'm going to come over to my shirts and go ahead and hit add to selection. So now this product is being added to that shirt, so I can leverage product data later. So I've made my metadata adjustments. I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. And now we're going to come back into the collection and take another look here. Things are looking good. And it's now time for me to make a public-facing portal. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this portal. Now I can choose a background for the design. Now keep in mind that the layout for this portal is actually a marketing approved template. So that way there's certain elements I don't have to worry about because marketing's already designed it for me. But I'm going to go ahead and at least pick a background that feels festive to the fact that this is a party. I'm not going to add a logo because, again, it's a template from the marketing team and they've already done so. And we're just going to call this the Human Fund Party 2019. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Open a new tab. I want to look at how this site looks. I've got my title. I've got my logo up here in the upper left-hand corner. Human Fund. I've also got some filters where I can filter down through my different asset types and quickly jump to them. I can also come in here and preview these assets and scroll through them in a nice gallery view. So I got my portal up and running, and now I want to actually come back into the assets themselves. And this one looks like it was a lot of fun, and we want to make sure that we share this socially. So I've got two options when I share socially. The first option is I can use any one of these direct publications, or we actually also have a Hootsuite integration. So if I'm in the publisher view, I can come into content, come down here to our 4ALLPORTAL plugin, at which point it loads into the DAM, and I can go ahead and search, I can filter, I can generate a new post. I can also come over here to the media library and choose out of my option the 4ALLPORTAL plugin, in which again allow me to search and pull my assets and publish across all of my social channels in one sitting. In this instance, I just want to publish this one particular asset specifically to Facebook. Let's see here. Had a fun time. And I'm going to publish this to our story. Go ahead and post to Facebook, and we have delivered that. Now I know that outside of the fact that the template was already set up for us, we still need to get a logo. So I'm going to come over here to global search. I've got the Human Fund logo. This is one that I'm allowed to use. I'm just going to go ahead and do a direct download of that asset here for me. So George has published to social media. He's created his external portal. He's downloaded the assets that he's needed. He's also updated metadata, including tagging it to the pin. One thing also here is that if I jump over to the PIM section to the product categories, we'll see all the different products that we sell. And now that I'm over here, I can see all our PIM data, product data, and also the associated asset. And that way users can quickly, depending on which version or module in the platform they're using, they can see the data across the modules. I'm going to go ahead and log out as George. I'm going to log back in as Cosmo because it's important to see my ROI on my assets that we've had published out. So I'm going to come over here to our social media stats, which again is also looking into Hootsuite and pulling that data when I publish through Hootsuite. And here I get to see all the different social status results and performances of those assets being published. And that is us.